Hello students and welcome back to my channel. This is the Nutritional Toxicology and today we're going to continue by taking a look at the marine biotoxins and the hunting products. So expect to learn the marine biotoxins that are present in mollusks and seafood, as well as the toxic pollutants we can find in wild animals. Hi, I'm Tommy. I'm a human nutrition student and researcher at the university. What I do in this type of videos is to synthesize my classes so then I can explain and teach you the best and most valuable information you need to know. So let's begin by taking a look at the marine biotoxins. So marine biotoxins. These biotoxins are considered an accidental food poisoning. They appear in mollusks and they accumulate in the hepatopancreas because mollusks and seafood are the filters of the sea, and they appear when there is a harmful algal bloom, the red tides. The factors for the appearance of biotoxins are higher temperatures, lower oxygen dissolved in the water, a lot of light, no rain, the presence of a lot of nutrients, and the stable water. The marine biotoxins do not affect the mollusks. They are heat resistant and they do not change the organoleptic properties. And we have to mention that with alcohol and acid, for example vinegar or lemon, that we generally use when we eat seafood, the absorption of these biotoxins is increased. So let's take a look at the main biotoxins we can find. The main ones are four: the paralytic shellfish poisoning, PSP, the neurotoxic, the NSP, the diarrheic, the DSP, and the amnesic, ASP. The PSP is due to saxitoxins. They block the sodium channels and they inhibit the neuromuscular transmission. They cause neurological symptoms, paralysis, and death. The neurotoxic is due to brevetoxins. They open sodium channels, they create an hyperexcitability of the nerves and muscles, leading to gastrointestinal and neurological symptoms. So here, gastrointestinal as well. The diarrheic one is due to the okadaic acid, and it inhibits the protein phosphatases, disrupting the cellular processes, leading to gastrointestinal symptoms. So no neurological here, only gastrointestinal. And the amnesic one is due to the domoic acid. It creates an excitatory amino acid toxicity due to the overstimulation of glutamate receptors, leading to a gastrointestinal and neurological symptoms, which includes, of course, memory loss, amnesic, and even death. The diagnostic and analysis are done with chemical analysis and mouse bioassays. And there is a monitoring and control of fishing areas and the shellfish testing, because these biotoxins are present in the dinoflagellates. Then we also have the ciguatera and the fugism. The ciguatera is due to ciguatoxins. It opens the sodium channels, creating an altered neuronal function, leading to gastrointestinal and neurological symptoms. The fugism toxin is the tetrodotoxin. It blocks the sodium channels, inhibiting the neuromuscular transmission, leading to paralysis, respiratory failure due to that, and death. Indeed, this is very similar to the PSP. We have to do a clinical diagnosis, taking account, of course, the history of fish consumption. The prevention for the ciguatera is the avoidance of large reef fish consumption and the education of at-risk population. And for the fugism, there is a strict regulation of potterfish sales and the training of chefs and fish handlers. Then other types of poisoning, we have the scombroid poisoning, which is histamine in spoiled fish. It creates flushing, sweating, headaches, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. The clupiotoxism, which is unknown but thermostable toxin, that creates a gastrointestinal discomfort, weakness, and abdominal pain. Then we have the Mugillidae hallucinatory poisoning. This is correlated with the salmon, especially the head. It creates hallucinations up to 24 hours, and it affects the central nervous system, of course. The cyclostome poisoning. This is in river and sea scavengers. It has an anticoagulant toxin in mucus and skin, which leads to a gastroenteritis. Then the elasmobranch poisoning in sharks and rays. It has a toxin in the liver and in the meat, and it can lead to an hypervitaminosis of vitamin A. This will cause with gastroenteritis and neurological signs, and it can also be deadly. The murine poisoning is due to an unknown hydrosoluble toxin, and it causes peroral tingling, diarrhea, and seizures. and it can also be deadly. Then we have the gym pellet poisoning. This is the sushi, the sashimi, and the toxin is a purging oil in bones and marrow, and it creates a profuse diarrhea without neurological condition though. And then we have the ichthyohemotoxism. This is in eel, tuna, and sailors. These are anticoagulant and hemolytic proteases, which cause urticaria and gastrointestinal symptoms. And the ichthyoautoxism in freshwater fish and its caviar, the toxin is the phospholipoprotein and it causes gastroenteritis and rarely fatal syncope. Moving on, we have the toxic risks of hunting products. What are the benefits of eating wild animals? Well, they have a higher nutritional value, lower fat content, higher in protein, and less drug residues. But what are the toxic hazards? There is an ignorance of the animal. We don't really know its history. It may have diseases. So hunting is correlated with good weather. When there is good weather, the temperatures are higher, and bacteria grows better too. So there is a lower hygiene and a lower health control. So as you can see, we have to do a health risk study. We have to know the zoonosis zones and the risk assessment. And why is that? Because we live in the same environment as animals, and animals can be used as a contamination indicator. And this is indeed a public health problem because of the concept of One Health. The environment, animals, and humans are all together in one health. So let's take a look at the pollutants. We have the heavy metals and the persistent organic pollutants. The heavy metals are lead and cadmium mainly. They tend to have the same animal to human toxicokinetics, so absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. The hunting differences is, for example, the wild boar has more lead and it's an omnivore. On the other hand, the deer has more cadmium and it's a seasonal herbivore. So as you can see, depending on what they eat, they have concentrations of different metals. It depends on the diet. The cadmium, for example, accumulates in plants, and that's why the deer has more cadmium. The heavy metals act as endocrine disruptors. They lower the cognitive functions, they lower the flight state, and therefore the animals are easier to kill. And this indeed creates an increased risk in the consumers. The cadmium accumulates in the animal's kidneys, whereas the lead accumulates in the animal's liver. And here we have to mention the water flow plumbism. So these birds have the grit, which is a mechanical action that together with pH, they dissolve the lead from the pellets. This will lead to the absorption and an accumulation in the liver and kidneys, and then to the heart tissues, because lead accumulates in the bones mainly. There is an ecotoxicological and a public health problem due to this. Again, the One Health concept. Fortunately enough, we eat mainly the muscle of the animal, which is not as affected as the other organs, such as kidneys and liver. And you also have to know that in non-wetland hunting, there is an impact of much higher concentrations of lead. This is because unarmored pellets deform when penetrating the tissues of the animal, and therefore the accumulation of lead is even higher. Then we have to talk about persistent organic pollutants. These are chlorinated compounds, pesticides, dioxins, polychlorinated biphenyls, furans, and other pesticides and mycotoxins. We will take a look at them in more detail in the next videos. So the chlorinated compounds, they are semi-volatile and lipophilic. They suffer a very high biomagnification in the environment and in the animals. It accumulates and resists degradation, and they affect mainly omnivorous animals. They accumulate in the liver. Their diffusion is through air, water, soil, and even food. And the hunting area is very important because there can be a possible exposure to these chemicals when this area is near a power plant. Some examples are the DDT, which is still present in humans, and the DDE is the primary metabolite of it, so the one we can measure. Dioxins, which come from the incomplete combustion of organic matter. They are an environment pollutant together with dibenzofurans. The polychlorinated biphenyls, which are banned nowadays, they were used in the industrial area and they act as an environment pollutant. Again, the concept of One Health. And hunting animals with an habitat near the crops can have some problems, such as poison baits and rodenticides, so pesticides. And then also mycotoxins in the carcass contamination. aflatoxin in the liver, kidney, and gonads, and the ochratoxin is correlated with humidity. Okay, this is it for this video. I hope you understood everything I said. If you didn't, there is a comment section down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you find value in this, please share it to your friends and family to spread this knowledge to them as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, in which we are going to talk about the persistent organic pollutants together with pesticides. I will see you there. Hope you enjoyed. Ciao!